Right, I think that's up and running. Welcome to Start Building Me, my nightly training session that consistency is more important than duration and intensity, folks. You've got to train every day. Training is mandatory and it should be quick, pretty effortless, but you've just got to pump your blood through your bodies into your muscles. It flows in quicker than it flows out. The duration of benefits you get from exercise is up to 72 hours. So if you keep on doing it on a day-to-day basis, it compounds, folks. What do I mean by compound? It's a multiplier effect. So it keeps on growing and growing and growing and snowballing, with my hat looking like it's disappearing. Some days it does, some days it doesn't. Very weird. I haven't shaved today. It is the Football World Cup and you will see me looking ragged and confused and angered and different ranges of emotion flowing through me. Start Building Me is always supposed to be an environment of honesty and integrity to show you the ups and the downs in life, because folks, people have bad days. That is normal, and I'm going to have some bad days if Germany, the nation where I grew up, loses. So be mindful of that. That's just the way it goes, folks. Like I said, you got to take the bitter with the sweet, and that's something that you don't see from all these influencers, is them having a bad day. So I figured my niche is to show people having a bad day, show that life can suck sometimes. It's not always this amazing life that's portrayed to you by influencers, online fitness people, online shows, TV shows, whatever it is. They never focus on the fact that you can have a bad day. My day wasn't too bad actually, but it wasn't great. And we'll be subjected to all the human rights violations that the Qataris have been subjecting their migrant workers to. Hey, good to see Benny von Bonbon in the house for this World Cup. But as somebody who wishes all well for people around the world and a positive environment here in Start Building Me, I will be watching the Qatari FIFA World Cup, because it should have been FIFA that made it not happen. It's not up to the players and everybody to denounce it. It's up to FIFA, folks, and they're so crooked and so corrupt that they made this World Cup happen through $1 million bribes that were given to all the officials to make it happen, despite it not even meeting the initial criteria to have the World Cup hosting in the first place. So, like I said, FIFA's a dirty organization. They always have been. And I'm going to watch the games. Sue me. Germany aren't going to win anyway. I'll stop watching it after Germany gets knocked out. Australia's going to get knocked out before Germany, so who cares? I'll become all holier than holy and you know, virtue signaling about it after I stop watching, I suppose. But until then, I'm going to watch it. Let's do some squats, folks. What's a squat? Sit down, stand up. It couldn't be more simple than that. Even before you get into the form stickler elements of it, you're sitting down and standing up. No more, no less. Sit down, stand up. Now, if you want to advance it from that, you're sitting back into your heels. The weight's going to the outside of your feet. You've got arches in your feet for this very reason. Your toes support the weight, the outside of your feet and your heels are supporting the weight, folks. Your weight is not supposed to go to the inside. If it goes to the inside when you're squatting, you see people and their legs are sort of doing that, going in that direction instead of staying out like that. If they stay out, that means the joint is hinging as it should and you're not going to damage your knee joints. So try and focus on that over time. But if you're not able to do that yet, sit down on something and stand back up. Sit down on something, stand back up. It's like the Kennedy assassination. Back and to the left. Back and to the left. You just want to really focus on the basics if you haven't, and if you can focus on more and you've got a little bit more coordination, all you want to do is touch your butt on the box, touch your butt on this corner of your bed, touch your butt on a chair, office desk, whatever it is that you could be sitting on, milk crate if you're in Australia. I'm not sure. I know Getränkekästen that they have in Germany are like milk crates. Just flip it upside down, you know, the ones that you get like Sprudel in and stuff like that. They're probably a bit lower, but nonetheless, you can do this. Touch your butt, and that will tell you back when to go back up the top. Now, this is just an exercise that should be really fluid. So if you've just started tuning into Start Building Me and you haven't done it before and you don't have the proficiency to do it properly, that doesn't matter. By proficiency, I mean if it's not very easy for you to do. So if it's not easy to do, then you can just go down, sit down, and stand back up again, and that will in turn give you some idea, some insight over time about how to do it properly. That's the whole point of consistency and why it's more important than being a form stickler, like really overthinking basically of your form and doing heavy intensity without doing it properly. A lot of people go to the gym and do exercises poorly and for way too long, and all that does is damage your joints, busts you up, and makes you not want to exercise again. So you're better off just getting the motion down, getting a few out, taking a break, shaking off your limbs, and breathing. Like I always say, for the time being, breathing is free, not if you're a Qatari immigrant though. If you're a Qatari immigrant, they probably charge you for that shit, which is why FIFA shouldn't have had the FIFA Summer World Cup in Qatar. But I'm a hypocrite, I'm going to watch it. I figure if all these 6,500 people died for my entertainment, then I can't let it go to waste, right, folks? What can I say? I'm a horrible person, but this is my whole point with Start Building Me. We've all got our pros and cons, folks. As somebody once told me, a friend, we've all got our shit, and that's very true. We've all got our shit, and you got to take the bitter with the sweet. So mine is that I will watch the FIFA World Cup despite knowing about the human rights violations that went down. So as a result, I'm going to flail myself now and do some squats as punishment. Yeah! See, I've been that excited about football. I wonder, it's high definition, so you can probably see that I haven't even shaved today. I didn't care. I was feeling it. Made some meat pies for dinner before coming here. Watching some repeats of the games. They were terrible, but you know, as I said, you got to take the bitter with the sweet. Something that the gambling community always has to know about is the current performance of the teams playing, whether they're teams that are your teams or not is irrelevant. When you log in onto sportsbet.io and punt in for the next month, you want to know about the pedigree horses that you're gambling on. I just got a message from my mate Spectre, I'll call him, since I don't want to dox friends anymore. He's got Brazil to win, which is a pretty, stereotypical victory. It's not a bad bet, but I don't know, sort of, feeling like the European teams are more to my liking, I think, for this one, and I will be punting on them. I think my sound is clipping again. You know me with seeing the headroom and seeing my sound is clicking. It's always annoying the living hell out of me. So again, I'll punish myself with some squats. Do whatever you've got. The numbers are irrelevant. Like I always say, what you do is not what I do. It might be what I do, but it doesn't have to be, folks. You're just trying to compete with yourself and your performance yesterday. I'm obviously not, because I'm taking time off to instruct. So if you can go and do more than what I'm doing, then go for broke. Brazil. Okay, well, AI, it's usually pretty good these days. It's like betting odds. I should look at the betting odds. It's usually a good indicator of who's going to win, because the gambling community is not going to let people take bets against them where they're going to lose. There you go, Germany. Right on, man. That's the spirit. They're always competitive, you know what I mean? And like the I don't know, look, they lost fair and square to England in that game in the European Cup, so England could do pretty well. But it's one of those things when it gets to final games where those football mad countries like Argentina, Brazil, Italy, who obviously didn't qualify, a few of them, then it'll be hard to beat those teams in a final. Meat pies and World Cup, yeah, apart from burning my gums, it was fantastic. What was it? Steak and pepper ones. France, no. Is his tip, not preference. Yeah, okay, interesting. A French guy that I trade with today, Pierre Crypto, was telling me that they've got 15 injuries that they didn't expect, or maybe they did, but they just didn't want to play in Qatar or something like that. So 15 injuries is pretty big. I'm not sure who the players are. I know Benzema isn't playing for this World Cup. I think maybe he's one of the injuries and he's like a pivotal player. And I'm not sure about Kyle Mbappe, but if he's not playing, then I'm not sure they're going to do too well. I reckon England's a better bet, to be honest. There's nobody that's injured in England other than them getting shite for taking the knee against Iran. I think they're going to do pretty well. I mean, they got to the finals in the European Cup. And I think the European Cup is as competitive, if not slightly more competitive than the World Cup usually. Because money wins sport, folks. It's again, like Qatar got it from FIFA, the team that has the most moneyed players are the teams that generally win, folks. Hate to shatter your dreams, but that's what happens with sports. Money wins. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Have a bit of a break. 3 more minutes left for the 15 before I start doing push-ups. Do whatever you've got if you want to go for broke. I'm just going to shake my legs out. I just walked the dogs for 6 kilometres. And young Freckles for 6 kilometres, for 2 kilometres, the neighbour's dog. So my knee starts to swell up a little bit. But I'll jump in my tank, maybe not tonight. Oh, maybe I should jump in tonight, which is down to a balmy 2.9 or 3 degrees Celsius. So far, so good. I think, I'm not sure when Australia and Germany play. I think it's Tuesday morning, maybe. Or Tuesday or Wednesday morning, so I'll base more bets off what I see go on there. Yeah, I don't think, like I said, Germany will always be competitive. That's why they're not a bad tip. But I'm obviously betting with my heart, so that would be cool. After seeing them do pretty well in the European Cup, it would be cool to see them do well, but I don't know. I don't think they've really got anything cutting edge at their disposal. Always good players, Kai Havertz, Leroy Sané. There's all the usual suspects that are still in the team as well. Antonio Rudiger in defence. Most of the players that made up Chelsea FC last season before Timo Werner went back to Red Bull Leipzig. Rudiger went to Real Madrid and Kai Havertz is still with Chelsea FC. Doesn't dare dream, I know. I screwed that for him in the European Cup last year. Got him all fired up that England was going to win. And then they scored an entry goal and then coasted and lost, I think, 2-1. It's like you never can... you never let those Dagos go easy on them. I think Italians are again, a lot of money in Italian football, and they always stay as Serie A, so they're going to have a good team. Even if they sort of coast to get there, they're going to kick ass. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm sweaty and warmed up, even though I coasted myself talking about football. That's what this month is going to be, folks. As my trainers would often be standing at the side of the grass oval, smoking a ciggy, yelling obscenities at us. Sometimes I'll be in the corner after a bad bet, stubble like now, bloodshot eyes, not sleeping, just shouting insults at you. Just joking, and I'll never do that. But this month is going to be hard. I will watch every game. I will gamble on every game. Like my life depends on it. So then I'll always be flailing myself because there's never going to be any games being played now, so I'll always be able to do Start Building Me. The games usually range from sort of the evening, 8 or 9 p.m. through to, I think it's like maybe 2 in the morning or 4 in the morning. So if you can't do push-ups, do them off your knees, something like that. Don't walk your hands out so far if you don't have the strength, but that will use more of your shoulders. Try and keep your arms sort of shoulder width apart, then it will make it a little bit easier. Keep your hands spread like that as well. Like I always say, give yourself a firm base. By doing that, you're using your hands as the sensors that they are, folks, to do something heavy. So instead of putting your hands close together, and I mean, Benny von Bonbon has explained how he does them off his knuckles. I do them off my knuckles sometimes as well. But it's more of an advanced technique, not a Start Building Me technique. So don't do that because there's the possibility that you can slip, do yourself some damage. So spread those fingers on your knees. And like I said, you're just trying to pump blood through your body into muscles and keep your core tight. So by keeping tension in your butt, you'll keep core stability. So that's something to focus on and work over time. If you can do strict push-ups, as I call them, because you know push-ups off your knees are still proper as far as I'm concerned. Whatever way or whatever mass you have to get it off the ground, folks, whatever you got basically is what I'm always advertising here. Do whatever you can do, not do what some meathead gym junkie rat can do on a camera or on their social media platform. And the reason I started doing this is because people were doing all this ridiculously advanced stuff, and I was just like, why aren't people doing stuff for people to get into exercise, right? Why are they doing stuff for people that can figure this stuff out themselves, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then the scumbag marketing business mind of myself thought, wow, that's uncrowded trade, as we call about in trade, and it's a trade that not many people are taking up because they're dumb fitness gym junkie spandex wearing rats, right? So I thought, we've got this time where pandemics are locking up, going to create lockdowns, so people are doing Zoom calls. People should do exercise. It shouldn't cost them anything, which has always been my sort of selling point here, is that there's time that people give up, which is the opportunity cost for paying money, and it should be short and sweet as a way for me to spew out my ultra technocracy propaganda here over the chat, and like I said, which is far more positive and less subversive than the other communications that people are pushing out there over their platforms, and try to do a free and inclusive training program for people who can't exercise, because they're the people who should get into exercise, right? People who don't exercise, they're the people who I want to contact. People who have exercised when they're young and either stop because of school, university, jobs, whatever, injury, people who are coming back from injury, people who are coming back from surgery, even if it's not specifically something that affects their muscles or joints. They might have just had cancer or something to start. Even people who are avoiding it, like we've had here before on Start Building Me, people who have cerebral palsy and people who have other disabilities that stop them doing these exercises, but just want to come on and do whatever they can and just shoot the proverbial whilst doing some exercise, what interests them. So that is the spirit, is this world will benefit more from people who don't exercising instead of a bunch of people who are already just, himbos and bimbos that want to refine and sharpen up their training style. It's like, if you can't figure that stuff out yourself, I don't know why there's so many successful influencers that are shilling this stuff, because after you get to a certain level of proficiency, you can just dream up any exercise you want after you understand the basic compound movements. So that's what I figured I'd teach, the basic compound movements. Obviously not deadlifting, because I don't recommend deadlifting because it's very easy to do incorrectly, and it's not really a Start Building Me technique. So 1, 2, 3, tense your butt. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I decided to do something where you're just pumping the blood through your body, not being a form stickler, just trying to do whatever you can do and try to train that into you folks, that it's the consistency that makes you get the benefits of exercise, not the intensity, not the duration. You just have to really work through these exercises until they become second nature. Why? Because they should be second nature. I'm not here to sugarcoat anything. I'm not here to say, oh, you can eat heaps of junk food and you can, eat 7 times a day and it's not going to be an issue for your health. I'm not going to say that you can train once a week and it's enough. You can exercise, you can go to the gym once a week and it's enough, provided you do cardiovascular exercise on every other day as well. So I'm not going to be here to shill anything, sell you products, elixirs. I'm here to tell you the uncomfortable truth, folks. And whether that sells or not is irrelevant to me, right? All I am is a data analyst who wants more people to exercise because I can see how much it will reduce the $8,000 per person that my government in Australia already spends on people's health. Basically, if we're talking about 60% of healthcare being, reduced, or even just say it was half of that, that's $4,000 per person per year that they would be spending. Think about how much money that is saved every year. And speaking of compounding like exercise, money compounds. The money that they save that could be going into other things like, say, education, which is kind of in a dire situation the world wide round, would be better applied for there. Or even that money could just be spent on healthcare, give nurses more money. Doctors don't need more money, take my word for it, but facilities certainly do. I digress. Consistency is the most important part of training, folks. You just have to bang out a few push-ups and a few squats every day. You're pushing blood into those muscles that flows in quicker than it flows out. And you compound those gains. So it's just something that I've noticed from getting significantly better results than most people, just doing consistent training and then seeing how specific they are with this stuff and ridiculous weights and all this stuff that they do, and how they micromanage their diet and do everything really precise. But then they either yo-yo their diet and then lapse for a few months eating garbage and getting drunk. And I've always just, like I said, I've nailed the foundations, the fundamentals for diet and for exercise. And if you just consistently do that, whilst consistently having a high protein, low carbohydrate diet and getting your good quality fats in, folks, there is a panacea for good health and good diet. It's just people don't talk about it because there's no money in it. And just like in pharmaceuticals, if there's no money in something, you'll never hear about it. It'll always be pushed out to whatever else has patented, because the people who patent things are the people who advertise things, folks. Duh. So you're only going to hear about stuff that gets patented, and then everything gets swept under the carpet, and you won't hear about it. And being healthy and keeping people healthy is not as lucrative as people being sick and people getting disease, right? And it might sound very high Machiavellian sort of behavior, and it's not popular to talk about it, but really big business, the biggest business is based off human misery, folks, which is private defense and healthcare. They don't make money off people's well-being. That's all I'll say. What do we got here? 25, I've been blabbing. Got another 5 minutes. Maybe if you can do another few sets. And see, even when I'm here just bunging out a few, I've probably done 40 or 50 push-ups is enough a day. If you really want to lean out and get that striated sort of muscular look and stuff, I know people that do hundreds a day. I personally have done, I think, over 1,000 a few times, but it's sort of counterproductive. I find 500 to 600 is probably a lot on a day, broken up, of course, not at once, not in a session, just over the course of the day. Do whatever, a few sets of 30 and a 20, or whatever you've got, 5 sets of 20. Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of those things, like the most diabolical schemes are always said, without encryption, just blatantly, honestly, because people know that there's so much apathy in the world and so much advertisement that goes into brainwashing people, the people are never going to question it, or they'll just be like, the smartest thing that the CIA did in the 60s with Operation Paperclip, Operation Mockingbird, was they set a program out basically to write off anything as a conspiracy that was against sort of their narrative, right? And so that's a bit of tidbits that obviously power brokers have used to this day, where anything can just be written off as a conspiracy, even if it's true, if it gets past that phase of actually people drawing attention to it and caring about it. Nestle used to dress up as doctors and go to African villages and tell people that baby formula was more nutritious than breast milk. Like, corporations have done diabolical stuff. Let's not talk about even going back to the German companies that profiteered off the Nazis, or the American companies that profiteered off the Nazis, even by funneling money through Switzerland in a loophole that they found. Corporations do bad stuff, folks. It's funny how people can't take those two thoughts at the same time. Like, corporations are destroying the environment and we should do something about it. And then, but corporations in healthcare are looking in after our self-interest. Like, some serious cognitive dissonance, folks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How much time we got here? Another minute on the clock. Bust out a few more push-ups and then get through to it. Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah, well, for sure. Also, such high salaries, like it just shows you the quality of people's work attire is directly correlated with how much money they get, usually sort of unwarranted. And I mean, when I was buying multiple $1,000 cashmere suits from Hugo Boss and getting them tailor-made from different people, $1,000, I can't even remember my shoe company anymore. I'll have to look that up. Crockett and Jones shoes, like $1,000 shoes and stuff. It's like you're making money by looking successful. It doesn't really matter if you are successful. It doesn't matter what the items are that you're peddling, as long as you look the part, right? That's why salespeople get paid more than everyone else, is because their sales numbers depend and are sort of reflected by how they look. Like you said, the devil wears Prada, a truer title was never made. Anyway, I'm going to get back to the gambling community, 30 seconds. I'm going to do 10 more push-ups and get out of here. I will keep it more positive normally, folks, but sometimes, like I said, I get a bit dark sometimes, folks. Go a bit down into the gutter and expose people to some stuff that they might not be comfortable with. But all I'm trying to do is make people be more open-minded and think about what we need to change to be a productive society and not dwell in the gutters as we currently are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I'm done. My toes are certainly done. What happens if you have resistance bands as your workout equipment? Look, I mean, my whole concept is that anything that you have, as I've experienced before with any exercise, as long as you're doing it daily and not, not an hour a day, you can even do it half. We used to do 15 minutes here on Start Building Me. But, I've been expanding it to 30 because I talk too much and want to get a bit of an exercise in myself, because I'm not doing any exercise at the gym at the moment as a proof of concept that it works to maintain muscle mass. You can do anything with resistance bands, right? Anything where you can just pull it and hold it like an isometric, or, you can work some things or put it onto a door handle and sit on the ground with it and pull it down. Just something that's getting the blood flowing into your muscles. It doesn't have to be exactly what I'm talking about here. What I'm doing here is just the most efficient side of exercise, because it uses the biggest groups of muscles in our body. But my whole point is that any exercise is better than no exercise. And there's a feeling, a positive well-being that you get from doing it, not only due to how efficient the exercise is, but just because you're sending a message through to your brain that's like, I'm doing something that's positive for me and give me some, beneficial reinforcement. I come in a stretching workout with it. Like I said, I am going to do my exercises, but I am making a video series starting at the end of this month where I will be doing a whole bunch of other exercises that I do as well, and heaps of them will have exercise bands with them. So stay tuned. Like I always say to people, like and subscribe. I am working as fast as I can, and it's slightly delayed now due to the World Cup soccer. Football if you're from the civilized world, but please stay tuned, because I will have all these videos coming out, and I do use resistant bands a lot. I think they're awesome, and there's so many different ways that I can apply for using them. And my dogs are trying to break down the door. So folks, I gotta go. Keep it up. Nice one, and nice for sending a message. It shows that people are actually listening to the stuff I'm saying and helps me get some feedback to what I'm doing. So like I said, stay tuned. Nice to have spoken, and come as often as you can be bothered. Do exercise bands, resistance bands, whatever. I'll even chuck some here in the live studio with me, and if I see you again, I'll show you some stuff that I do. Some very, very simple stuff, and it's surprisingly hard. So stay tuned for that, folks, but until tomorrow, I'm out of here. Have a good night.